Hi everyone, I'm Dina with Mills Family Gardening. We live in North Texas, Zone 8A. Today is April 13th. At the end of March, I transplanted our tomatoes into the raised bed where we had a lot of leaves as mulch. I put them there last year after everything was done growing, and it was great. They kept the soil moist and they prevented the weeds from growing. But all those leaves did something really bad to our tomatoes, and now some of them are struggling. So let's go see what happened to our tomatoes and what those leaves did to them. So these are our tomatoes that we transplanted, and if you come closer, you can see that this tomato, the branch of it on the bottom, looks very bare. Like you can tell that something removed the outer layer of the branch, and now only the inside part of the branch is left. So what happened was that there were some leaves as mulch around the tomato plant, and when I moved all the leaves away, I saw a lot of roly-polies, and some of them were still sitting on the stem and chewing on it. And of course, I tried to remove the mulch away from the stem as soon as possible. Now, if you look at the other tomato over there, you can see that this stem got chewed on real bad also. You can see that thicker outer part got completely removed right here, and then only the thinner part is left, and they went all the way up because mulch was real up high, and they just crawled up and were chewing on the stem. And you can see that this tomato is actually struggling, even though I fertilized it the other day. The same variety of this tomato is planted here. These are all ox hearts, and you can see that this one is doing really well, and the other one in that row is already blooming, and the stems are really thick and they are dark green. But this one is struggling because the lower stem is chewed on, it's exposed, and this plant is not very healthy. The same thing applies to this plant. This does not look very healthy. If you come this way, you can see that I mounded some soil around the stem because the same thing happened to this tomato. If I remove the soil, you can see the very thin bare stem lower closer to the soil, and I mounded the soil around it in hopes that the soil would encourage new roots to grow. Right now I don't see any roots, but if it keeps getting water, hopefully new roots will start growing. But this plant is actually doing better than the other two plants, and there are new side shoots that are growing, so I'm hoping there's still hope for this tomato plant. Before I planted this plant, there was already one more plant that was growing in the same spot, and the roly-polies chewed on the stem, and the stem got so thin that the whole plant actually snapped. So I had to remove the plant, and thankfully I had another little seedling that I planted here, and now it's growing. Hopefully I will get some flowers and fruit before it gets too hot and they stop producing. If you use leaves as mulch, there is a very good chance that roly-polies will start gathering and congregating under the leaves. It's their favorite place to congregate. They love living under the leaves. They feel protected, especially if the soil is moist in that area. There's food to chew on, and especially also when it's shaded, they love gathering under the leaves. So be very careful with using leaves as mulch. And this can happen not only to tomatoes, it can happen to any plants. It's a perfect habitation for roly-polies to live and chew on your plants. Now, does it mean we can't use leaves as mulch at all? No, it does not. There are several ways that we can use leaves as mulch in a way that's safe for our plants. If you intend to use leaves as mulch around your existing plants or seedlings, make sure to move your leaves away from the main stem of the plant so they would not be touching the plant, and then roly-polies won't have any place to hide close to your plant, and they will leave your plant alone. Roly-polies don't like to be out in the open. They always try to hide somewhere, either it's mulch or leaves. I've noticed that they prefer leaves to any other kind of mulch, but even under wood chips they can hide under those. So make sure to keep them away from the main stems of your plants. The second way we can use leaves as mulch safely is after the growing season is over and your bed is done producing, specifically in-ground beds. You can put a thick layer of leaves on top of your in-ground bed, but we know that wind can blow away those leaves easily. So for that purpose, you can sprinkle some soil on top of the leaves just to keep the leaves in place, or you can spread those leaves on an overcast day or rainy day. When leaves are wet, they don't get blown away easily. You can also use leaves at the end of the season in your empty raised bed. They protect the soil from new seeds dropping into the soil or new seeds sprouting from the soil. Last year we had a lot of coleus flowers or plants growing here, and then after they were done in the fall, all the leaves from this maple tree started falling into this raised bed, and you can see that it's still covered in leaves. And I dug a little bit underneath the leaves just to see what's going on, and I can see little sprouts of new coleus, but I don't think they have a chance of sprouting because this layer of leaves is so thick that the leaves are preventing the seeds from sprouting. So if you're using the leaves in between the seasons and you plan to plant some seeds, make sure to remove the leaves and then plant the seeds. That way the seeds will have the chance and the sunlight to sprout and grow. This does not pertain to mulch, but leaves can be buried straight into the ground to improve your soil, especially clay soil or really any kind of soil. And also you can add leaves successfully to your compost pile or compost bin, alternating them with nitrogen-rich ingredients. And those ingredients are kitchen scraps or garden scraps or coffee grounds or manure, making sure to keep your leaf layer thicker than the layer with your nitrogen ingredients. You can also make a leaf mold out of leaves. For that, you simply collect leaves in a big bag, poke some holes in the bottom all over the bag, and make sure to keep the leaves moist and keep them moist in that bag, all closed up without opening the bag all throughout the year. And then you come back in a year and the leaves all are broken down, decomposed, and you can use them in your containers or mix them with your clay soil in the ground. They would make a really good soil amendment. And those are some positives and negatives of using leaves in your garden, either as mulch or compost. I hope you learned from our lesson and don't make those mistakes in your garden. Thank you so much for watching this video and have a great day.